Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast, The Engineer Whisperer Transitions into a Director Role. And today I'm super excited to have Kevin with me. Kevin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and nice to meet you at last.
Yes, we have found the time to sit down. And yeah, I'm super excited. So, as we start, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, well, my name's Kevin Bell. I'm the managing director for a company called Maltha, which is in my background. And that's a glass recycling company. So there's all kinds of elements of engineering, manufacturing, innovation that we do. And I'm managing as a director, as the managing director, 7 sites across 5 different countries across Europe. So I'm currently coming on the podcast today from one of them countries. I'm in the UK, so I'm actually at home at this moment. So I live on the south coast of the UK, on the seaside. So it's quite nice, and it's lovely and sunny today as well. So it's which is unusual for the UK, but it's a lovely sunny day. So I'm also married. We have 4 children who've all left home now, have got their own houses and everything, and their own work. But yeah, that's a bit about me and my business.
Well, thank you very much. Then let's get started. Tell us a little bit, give us some context around entering the director role. So, was that something that someone invited you into, or was that always part of your career development plan?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story because if we go all the way back to when I was at school and when I left school, I actually left school with no qualifications whatsoever. So I had a really quite a difficult upbringing. So school was very difficult for me. And so leaving school, I could only go into like a laboring kind of job at the time that didn't pay me a lot of money at all. Very, very hard work. And so during my first transition really was when I was working for a company that made ceramics. And during that time, I was doing a laboring job there, which was very, very tiring. And I decided to reach out to one of the CEO there. As he was kept walking past now and again, I just reached out to him and just asked if I could have 5 minutes with him. And I just said that I know that one of the gentlemen there is actually going to be retiring in 2 to 3 years. Do you think we could train me up to do his job? And it was working on electric kilns, gas-fired kilns. So they trained me up for the next 2 to 3 years in university. And I actually passed the course with distinctions. And that was my starting process into my career. So from then, I really started working with people because obviously I had been one of the people on the shop floor working away. And so I had a really good interaction with the people on the shop floor. And very soon I become like a team leader over a small amount of people. And then I was really successful at that. And then they give me another department, and then another department, and then another department. And I ended up actually running the facility there after about 6 years of being there.
Oh,
And then it just carried on going. I'd never, ever in all my time in my career, I've never really had a defined plan of where I want to be. Do I want to be a director or a CEO or something like that? It's kind of organically and naturally happened. I've always kind of tried to focus on doing really good at the job I've currently got and putting all my all into it and doing it to the best of my ability. And luckily, people have seen the results I've got and the interaction I've had with the people, and actually promoting me through that kind of forum. So I've ended up in a director's role now through my hard work and kind of skill set as it's been going on as I've been learning. So it's been quite an organic kind of growth path, shall we say?
yes, I can hear it. So let me just double click on this one because this is so interesting. So, people, you discover that you can like ask for something that you want early on in life, and And that experience just got you, I want to say, going. Because look, there are really good people out here who are willing to help me. So, was that first ask, and maybe you don't remember, maybe you remember, like how difficult was that for you to ask for that?
It's a really good question, and it was actually, I do remember it as though it was yesterday, because I think there's certain things that happen in your life that define you as a person,
Yes.
and this was definitely one of them times for me. Now, you know, I woke up every morning before I asked this gentleman, who was the CEO of the company, and every single day I always wanted to do something differently, but I didn't know what and how I wanted to do it. So I just thought one day as he was walking past, I didn't even plan to do it. I just walked up and he started talking to me and asked if I was okay. And I just took the opportunity to ask somebody and say, I've always found it quite difficult. I don't really know what to do at this moment in time, but I've got the right attitude. I'm a really good worker, and I won't let you down. And it was that kind of drive and ambition of somebody walking up to him, and really pushing themselves forwards, that he just took a chance on me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, the fact that somebody out there's people out there that take chances on people, who appear that they've got really good attitude and behavior. And when I recruit for people now, I actually recruit on them bases. Sometimes it's not necessarily what your curriculum vitae says. It's actually more about the person, their behaviors, their attitudes, their
Right.
desire to want to do something and really progress. And I love working with them kind of people, and I do all that now as well. So because I was provided with an opportunity in my life, I try and mentor lots and lots of young leaders now today. And I do that. I probably, in my own business, I mentor at least 4 people who are young leaders who are in different businesses. And I've also been part of a university graduate scheme where I go in and support graduates as well to see how far they can go in their business as well. So I want to give back because somebody offered me an opportunity when I was 17 years old. So
Yes.
I want to do the same for other people as well, and hopefully inspire other people to be able to change their lives like I changed mine.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. I felt that there was something more there and worth sharing. So thank you. Well, let's transition that into the conversation about your transition into the director role. Because I believe that's one of that pivotal moments in a leader's role when you start leading leaders. So maybe let's start with the easy one. What came easy to you, if anything?
Yeah, I think the easiest part of the transition into the director's role from my previous roles was the fact for me, I just carried on doing the things that had always been successful for me before. So I always made a connection with people. I didn't want to distance myself because I got a little bit higher up the hierarchy. So I always try and in every business I've been in, I try and flatten the structure so that everybody can talk to me like I could talk to the CEO just openly. He gave me an opportunity to speak to him and say something and change my life. And I want to do that for other people. So the easiest part of the director and moving into that role is just being myself still, not trying to, you know, have this air of authority where I don't have to speak to anybody anymore. Actually, I do it even more now than I ever did before, because I find that the more people I speak to, the more you can support and help everybody. And it's all about the team ethic and not just about individuals. So that's the easiest part for me. It was just to be myself.
Oh, I see that they in that role, even the, talking to even more people, it's where the value is. Hmm. Okay. So then, what was something challenging?
Yeah, I think the hardest part of it when you're going into them roles, there's always new things you have to learn. And I suppose being used to speaking to people at board level, so going into a board room atmosphere with a lot of people who are, some people are investors, some people are CEOs, some people are running other businesses, and being able to speak because there's a certain protocol, there's certain things you have to kind of make sure you're aware of in conversations. But even within that, and learning the challenges that you have, and with every role comes some different aspects that you have to learn and just take on board, whether it's a new company, whether it's a new process, whether it's new procedures, policies. You know, you always have to follow some form of protocol, which is just the hardest part because you're learning something brand new from the start. But I've always trying to maintain that air of, you know, communication. The communication I found was easier because I'd accelerated my position. I've now got more opportunity to speak to people.
Yes.
So I didn't find I got less, I got more. But the hardest part and the hardest part of the transition for me was for speaking with people upwards, because there's some of the people that you have to convince. The people down the hierarchical chain, it's a little bit easier because you can inspire people and lead them and support them and help them. But it's a completely different kind of transition to speaking in a boardroom and getting the people above you to believe in your journey, to believe in the investments that you're trying to make, believe in the culture change that you're trying to make. So that I found is probably the hardest part of the transition to being a director.
Well, tell us more. How did you actually do it? Because I hear you saying you had to learn it. Well, how did you learn it? How does a director learn at that level?
Yeah, it's working with lots and lots of different people. So I don't think there was just one element of that. I had to find all the areas. So if there was some legal policies, I spoke to one of the best lawyers that we have, and we I had one-to-one sessions so we could go through, you know, what's expected of me here, what is the transition, why am I doing that, what's it for, you know. So I was asking lots and lots of questions because I really wanted to understand it, but not only understand it, I wanted to see if I could improve it.
Ah,
So was it bureaucratic? Was it something that really didn't need to be there? So one thing I've always tried to do in my mentality of that transition is trying to always improve the situation. So me coming into it as a new director, I wanted to challenge the status as well. And I know there could be policies or certain routines, but for me, it was to ask, well, why do we do it like that? What's the benefit we get? Why do you need to see that information? So I was always asking questions of the board, and I've had some really good feedback because of that, because I've been open to changing, and so when you've got boards, and most of the boards I've actually dealt with over the last few years, you know, sometimes they're very set in the ways, very bureaucratic, you know, they're very, well, no, this is the way we do things. But
yeah.
actually, if you explain things to them in a different way, and so there's actually a bigger benefit of how we're communicating, how we're getting some investments, or a lot of other scenarios with the people are actually open to change. So that change process, it was the most difficult. But you know, I've called on experts in each of the fields, whether it's policy, whether it's communication. So if I was speaking to a reporter, as an example, I've had media training. So it's important for me to represent the company in the right way. So I want to, if I'm going to do this, I want to be the best I can be at it.
Yeah.
So therefore, all the elements of it, whether it's speaking, whether it's presenting myself, whether it's doing media training, whether it's putting communications out to my team, I always looking at it critically and said, could we have done that better? So on all the things I do now with my senior leadership team, we're always asking ourselves questions. You know, if we do something in a communication to all our people in our company, we always uh, at the end of that, we always look at it again and reevaluate it and go, what were the highlights from it? But what were the areas where we think we can do that better next time as a team? So we're always constantly pushing each other to be better and better and better. And I think that's all what we've done. So the directorship position, it's just about being the best you can be. So learning from all these people around you, because there's resources everywhere, right? But you just have to find the right person that gives you the right information. And sometimes you might not know who that is, but if you ask enough questions, you'll always find the right answer. And my advice to anybody is always ask questions.
Yeah.
Always, always, always keep asking questions.
Yes. And I'm gonna go back to what you said is ask questions from this place of intention. So, because most people say, well, what question do I ask? And does it matter what quality of the question I ask? So, kind of go into the tactical. And what I'm hearing from you and what I'm a believer in too is first sort through why you're asking the question. And what you said is from this place of getting to understand in order to improve, in order to make things better.
Yeah,
So, I think from that mindset and with that intention that comes the message and the questioning comes through with a care, with trust, with I want to connect with you, not I want to say not the other side where it might be offensive or why is he asking and why is he so curious, you know?
yeah,
So people instead of they become defensive, they understand why you're asking the question, and then slowly you build that trust of yes, I'm asking the question because I want us to
yeah.
improve, not just me, not just for my
Absolutely.
improvement. So that's what I'm
Absolutely.
hearing, and
Yeah.
I love that mindset because that opens up the possibilities, that creates that inviting environment for people to then ask you question back too. So what you
Absolutely.
said is if you ask questions, then you allow others to ask questions of you, and then that becomes a dialogue, and in that dialogue is where creativity shows up, where then innovation happens down the road. So yes.
It's a really interesting one as well because one thing I've always learned from being in the role, because I was a young leader coming through and learning my trade into being a director in the end. In each of the meetings, I've sat in so many meetings where I wouldn't ask a question because
Oh,
and because I was the person that felt, well, if I ask the question and it seems stupid, I'm going to look stupid in front of all my peers or all my work colleagues. So I might ask on a one by one basis if I can, or I've known the answer to the question that somebody's asking, but I didn't dare give the answer
oh,
because in case I got it wrong, because it's this fear of failure. Now, because I've experienced that myself, I recognize that and that's normal for lots of people within meetings that you have, whether it's meetings or communications, to not to ask questions because of that fear.
yes.
So I've always thought, and I think it's something that Simon Sinek said as well, is don't be scared to ask stupid questions. And I ask stupid questions sometimes, even if I know the answer, because I'm helping to educate the majority of my team at the same time. Because I know that the majority of them will probably be too scared to ask the question in the meeting. So I'll be the stupid one who will ask the question,
You're
which in turn will help everybody to actually educate themselves as well. So I think it's a two-way process, and you're absolutely right. You're looking at it, but you're trying to all the time. You're trying to support the team, the wider team.
I love that aspect of being a director. What you're sharing is to recognize that sometimes you're the one who just needs to take on the asking the stupid questions, ask the easy questions. Well, I got curious. So you said that you as a young leader, you were in meetings where you didn't answer and you didn't ask questions. So what, when was it, what was it that motivated you to change your mindset about sitting in meetings? And do you remember when that happened, how that happened?
Yeah, I think there's define like we said before, there's like defining moments in people's careers, and I'd sat in too many meetings and knew the answer to the question that was given, but somebody else got the adulation for it. They give the answer that I already knew, and then I saw their careers propelling, and I'm thinking, but I already knew that. Why aren't I taking that lead? And it comes back to answering the super questions. Sometimes there was a point in my life where I thought, I'm just going to give it everything I can, and if I'm wrong, that's how I learn. So I shouldn't be scared if
Mhm.
asking a question that could be wrong or giving an answer that's incorrect. Because if it's incorrect, and we all do it, I still do it today, I still don't get everything right. The fact is that it's a learning point. So I'll learn from it, and then somebody will give me the right answer, and that increases my knowledge base. So when I was in I think it was about the second company I was in, because I've been with multiple different companies and industries now. I really wanted to look at things differently. So I really tried to transmit myself, and my career escalated really quickly thereafter.
So you just it's that concept that I share with lots of young people, that don't don't ask for people to take your fear away. There's no fearless life. Fear will be there and will show up. There are gonna be all kinds in different ways.
Yeah,
And then no matter what your job title and how much money you bring home, you're still gonna have fear.
yeah,
It's it's have a strategy to push through and ask questions, to take actions despite and with the fear that you have. So it's almost like grab fear and still go.
and
And
still
that,
going.
yeah, and that's what I'm hearing from you. That
Yeah. It's really interesting because in our current company as well, we've just managed to increase our employee net promoter score. It's like a survey that's done twice a year that evaluates culture and behavior about people interacting in the business. Now our scores have just gone through the roof, and we've got the highest scores. And I've always been asked these questions. How did you manage to do that? How did you manage to create that change? And there's not one easy answer. And people are sometimes after that eureka kind of, well, I've just did this and everything changed. Well, it's not as easy as that. And if we pick communication as one part of that, which fundamentally is the most important thing you have to do. I've done at this current company now, I do open communication sessions in all different languages at all different levels of whether you're the operator, you're the team leader, you're the manager or the senior team. I conduct once a month an open session that anybody can ask me any questions with all of them levels. Now, why do we do that? One is to make sure I've got consistency. Two is another one that we also everybody has an opportunity to be able to ask you a question. So we rotate the people to do that. Also, when I go around on to visit all the sites, I always set an hour aside that other people can come up and just talk to me about anything they want to, as long as it's business related, or if they've got any problems personally. We create that kind of forum. We've got a barcode scanner that people can just do it on their phone and send me a question anytime they want. And to the senior team, we've got a suggestion box. We've got a TV screen in every single one of our sites that rolls through the communication. We've done various podcasts. We do live feeds from each of the sites on WhatsApp, so we can show people and they can interact with each of the sites. All of these things, we're trying to do lots and lots and lots and lots of different things, because we're all very different as humans, and our thought process and how we convey information and receive information is all different. So
yeah.
you want to tap into all of these kind of things and trying to bring everybody on this journey with you. So I get lots and lots and lots of operators now who just come up to me and ask me any questions, and some really, really good questions. And to go on what I started at, we've actually developed these people into team leaders and managers as well. So they've carried on the journey, because they've asked questions and they've been really smart, or we've educated them, or they've wanted to do a different skill. All these kind of things, we're trying to encourage that development.
Kevin, I might oversimplify it, but what I'm hearing, it's possible to build a successful culture based on this mindset of ask questions,
Yeah,
ask ask questions, ask better questions, learn how to ask quality questions, and then have everybody participate.
absolutely.
Um,
That's our role as a leader, right? Our role. But I always say my role as a leader is just basically to facilitate everybody doing their roles. So I have to ask questions and they can ask me, how do we interact? How do we make this happen between us? It's not to tell everybody what to do, because there are some really smart people who work with us. I want to get the best out of them. So they have to tell me what's the issues that they're facing and how can we resolve them together. Or if they haven't got any answers, ask the question and we can help by getting together to try and find a solution to some of the problems. But if you never have that interaction and you don't ask the questions, you'll never move forward.
Yes. Yes. Well, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Well, I wonder if there was anything surprising in your transition.
Um, I suppose the biggest, uh, most other people around me in some of the businesses have been around because I've used the same methodology for quite a few years now. Why? Because it always seems to work. You communicate to the staff, speak to them, involve them, empower them, give them the autonomy to be able to do them. All these sound cliche words, but if you actually put this into practice, they do actually work. And you do actually create a dynamic company. And I've managed to turn quite a few businesses around now from loss making to profit making. But it's not me who's done it; it's the team who've done it. The most surprising part is always when you're speaking to people, and even more senior leaders than themselves, they're always surprised about how did you manage to do that? And the basic principles are really, really simple. And most companies just lose their focus sometimes. And most companies I go into, you know, they lose their identity or what made them great. And sometimes we overdo things sometimes, or we don't involve the people enough because we think the leaders have to know all the questions and answers, and that's absolutely not the case. The more people are involved in your business, no matter what business is, whether you're running a jewelers, whether you're running a manufacturing engineering business, it's all the same concept. The more people get involved in the overall business, the more success you're going to have.
Well, some people would argue, so let me bring this at the side because I'm curious what you say. Would argue, well, that can be dangerous. That can cause a lot of trouble, call it that way. How would you answer those who have that point of view?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because if there was trouble, and let's pick some situations. If there was trouble because of that kind of, because you were trying to be open and involving people, people could think, or the team could think, oh, well, we might be having some innovation. So if I create something that makes this better, I might lose my job. But what you're trying to do all the time, and we had this issue recently where we were integrating some brand new innovation into one of our sites, and the team thought it was fantastic. But then we had quite low scores from the assessment that we did with them, and we were thinking, well, why did we have scores that were lower with this team that was so enthusiastic, so excited to have some money spent on in their operation? And when we actually sat down with the team, they were all actually a little bit apprehensive about the changes that were happening and the innovation that was being put to say, will you need us in the future? Is it going to affect my position? Now, if you're a growing business and you're doing these things because you're trying to grow and obviously be competitive in the world, you can keep with your core staff. So you might grow. I'm obviously wanting to get an eighth site, a ninth site, a 10th site. And what you're trying to do is create a team of people that can work and grow with you and that business. Now, it might be that you build another site and you don't have to employ and not if it was 50 people on the site as an example, you might only need to employ 30 because you're innovation. But some of these people might be able to come across with you. So I always try to put it in a different way to each of the people who are concerned about that it doesn't work, because fundamentally it really does. And when you look at all the successful companies out there, they're really driven by client interaction, or the customer interaction and the employee interaction. And if you look at Apple today and how they involve their people in their program, and really getting everybody involved. And I think the more, it's only my personal perception of how I've dealt with several businesses that I've operated in. And just by involving people and empowering them and giving them the autonomy to be able to make decisions, I've always managed to be successful in every single business. So there might be some businesses out there where you might see a different reaction to that, but you're probably not driving the message through in the right way. It would be my only kind of comment to that. And listen, I've not got all the answers, right? But you know, if you don't try and you don't try different techniques and different ways of doing things and involving your people, you'll never move forward. You'll just stay stagnant. So in the end, it's going to be harmful to your business anyway.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, trouble will show up, we'll stay stuck no matter what. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of choose your strategy to take what you have and make it better, as you said, and then finding the best solution to the problem that you have. I mean, that's an awesome feeling, and involving people to be part of that while they're growing and learning and creating trust together. I have experienced it myself. It's something superb. It's a really cool feeling. On the human side, it's a really cool feeling. And then from a career point of view, something will always happen at the end if you're part of a project like that. So yes,
So
I encourage people to. So thanks for sharing.
no
Well, Kevin,
problem.
as we're getting close to the end of our conversation, tell us what transition are you going through right now, if anything?
So the business I'm currently running is a glass recycling business. We're going through two transitions. So not only was the company a loss-making business, so you've got a culture of people there who are not used to being able to have new or get involved in the process because it wasn't spending any money on it. So they weren't spending any money because it was losing money.
Yeah.
So all we did when I come in, I just changed their mindset. Right. So let's not worry about losing money anymore. Let's focus on opportunities that we can have to start making some money. So, you know, let's involve all the teams and let's change our mindset. What do we need to make your site a bit better? Give me your number one priority, your number two, your number three, and let's do a list of things and let's start going through the list. Now, it's quite interesting because people look at you as though you're crazy when you're starting. But as soon as you start going through the emphasis with them, and then they can see you starting spending money, and we spend money on every single one of the sites because we're involving the company to grow. So you're involving everybody. So it might be we're spending a few 100,000 here, a few 100,000 at this site, but it's like phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. And the more, therefore, we gain, we're putting it all straight back into the business. So it's enabled us to grow again. So our shareholders, and we have this conversation about me communicating to the board, if they buy into your strategies, say, please don't take any dividend payments for a period of time, allow me to reinvest everything I make straight back into the business. I'm not going to come to you for any money, but please allow me to reinvest with my team back into the sites. And what you're seeing as a transition through that. So there's two transitions. One, you're going from loss making to making money. And the second one is you're going into an innovative state as well, where you're completely changing the business model
Yes.
into more state of the art technology using even AI technology and so forth. So because you're looking at all that, but you're involving your team in it, everybody's immersing themselves in it and getting and so it's quite difficult because you're doing a transition on a transition, and one transition's enough for somebody because you know, let's face it, us as human beings, we're all creatures of habit. We like sitting in the same place every night in our homes. We like
Yes.
watching the TV. If somebody sits in our favorite seat and switches the TV channel over, we don't like
That's
it.
my scene.
Yeah, we do not like it. So, you know, we have to get people ready and embrace change is really good for them for the business. So there's a transformation in culture as well as we're being part of. But we're finding the better ways we communicate, and we don't get it 100% right all the time. But the more we communicate in the varied ways we communicate, we're actually spreading the word and getting them involved. So therefore, the transitions that we're taking are working. But it is quite an interesting process to do, and but we're giving back like I had the opportunity to do. We're giving the same back to all the people that are there as well. So and it's actually growing our business quite. You know, we've already doubled turnover in 2 years, so it's a tremendous success rate. But it's my team. It's not me. It's the team who've done it, and we tell them that all the time.
So, Kevin, you're inspiring me. And I am curious because, as you said, people like to sit in the same place, it's the same thing. So, someone coming in and saying, okay, we gonna go from loss to profit, from loss to profit, gonna believe me. It's something that the employee has to choose if I believe you or not. What I'm really interested in is in your mindset. Like, where is this energy coming from that you get up and every morning and say, okay, I know I'm gonna meet people today, and some of them gonna be kind of non-believers, not yet believers. How do you keep your energy up and your belief up to be the leader who others see and pull from when they don't have it, kind of thing?
Yeah, a good question, and it's an easy answer. We have a choice when we wake up in the morning. Every single morning, any of us wake up, we have a choice to go out there and make a difference, or we could just stay in bed and watch TV and be lazy. And so for me, it's always about a choice. I want to get up every day, and I had the opportunity, and I was given the opportunity as a young manager, a young labourer who turned into a manager. And I want to give that back to everybody else, because there's no better feeling as a leader than seeing so many different people growing themselves from where they are into team leaders, site managers, leaders of the future, and so that gives me the energy every day by seeing all the people changing their lives, getting better cars, better houses, and really, really making their lives better for themselves and their family. Plus, it also gives them a sense of purpose, and they get energy from it as well. So, and as a leader, if we can't motivate ourselves to lead, we're in the wrong position, right? Our job is to inspire people and make sure that people have got what they need and empower people and really drive our businesses forward. So I want to be a role model like that to all my team. And I'll not stop. I get lots of energy from seeing lots of people happy. There's no better feeling than seeing the team happy and really excited and coming up to you and giving you a coffee or a biscuit and say, thank you so much. It's just changed everything we're doing. And that to me means more than any amount of money or any gravitas that I might get. I get more satisfaction from my people than I ever would from anybody else.
So, in those down days when we all feel a little bit down, do what Kevin's doing. Remember that there are people who thank you and who know and recognize that you have created an impact in their lives, and just remember those. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for this conversation.
No
And
problem.
as you know, I like to give the mic back to my guests to close us out. So, what would you like to leave us with today?
I suppose the best thing I could do is, as a leader, please, and all the leaders that are out there, or engineers that want to be leaders of the future, you can do anything you want. It's all about your own attitude and desire to want to do something. Ask questions. Don't be scared to get it wrong. And really propel yourself and immerse yourself to make a difference. And if you're a leader, please listen to your people, support them, educate them, help them, give them the autonomy, allow them to be able to make mistakes, because people make mistakes. Don't run a business where you're creating a culture where everybody's scared to make a decision and make a mistake, because your people will make mistakes. And I'm a leader myself, and I haven't seen any leaders I've ever worked with who never made a mistake. So we all make mistakes. Allow the people to make mistakes. The biggest thing from anybody about learning is learn to not make the same mistake twice. And
Oh,
that's what we teach our people. So the biggest thing today is go out there and really make a difference, because human beings are such fantastic people. Why not go out there and do something that inspires the future generations and our children to do exactly the same and to really push ourselves forward? So go out there and make a difference is my final summary. Thank you. And thank
well,
you very much for having me on the podcast today. I really enjoyed it.
thank you, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my guest and for this conversation. Thank you.